So then let's start for the first panel. I see that, not sure if everybody's online. Okay, now I can see. The first panel of today will be regarding Europe Digital Trust Moment, a standard to support the implementation of AI Act, Data Act, and eIDAS 2. Our goal in this panel in the next 40 minutes will be a practical one to identify priorities in standardization gaps, define short-term actions, and clarity who needs to move and by when, to ensure these laws becomes workable and harmonized across sector. We are delighted to have an outstanding panel with us today. In that case, most of them online, but one additional in person. So Joseph Karis, I see you are here online. Steffen Schwalm, I pronounce well, hopefully. Okay, maybe you can join us to participate in the panel, yes? And last but not the least, Ondrej Kovarik, that I cannot see, but should be also online. Yes. I will invite first to the panelists to briefly introduce themselves, and then we will move to a set of focused outcome-oriented questions. So I need to ask each of you to make a brief introduction, maybe 60 seconds, to introduce your name, your roles, and the single most important in practical priorities you believe that you should address in standardization right now. So let's start from Joseph, please.
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Perfectly.
Morning.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for the organizers for this interesting event, and thank you for inviting us to join this panel. My name is Joseph Karis. I am working on behalf of Cyprus standardization body. We are the national body in Cyprus. And I'm responsible for the ICT standardization here in Cyprus, involving all the ICT standardization work and the promotion of European international standards, not only in my country, but to the whole Europe. And as you know very well, a lot of European regulations, they involved European harmonized standards that eventually they will support industry for compliance and technology driven along with these regulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Welcome. Then let's move to Steffen.
Okay. My name is Steffen. I work in MSG as leading the identity and trust subject. My role in standardization and mainly focus on identity and trust. So I also focus on security and auditing. In 10, I have the honor to lead the working group on decentralized identity management, mainly focused on combining decentralized identity management using DLT and blockchain with the eIDAS regulations. So, for example, the qualified ledger. And this is pretty much similar my role in ETSI. I had the possibility to contribute to the standards which underpin the Data Act, where you can use blockchain for the smart contracts. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Looking forward to the panel. Thanks.
Well, pleasure. Okay, thank you very much, Steffen. Then let's move to the next panelist. I'm not seeing now I have a problem with my screen, so I'm not sure. Ondrej, you are there?
Yes, good morning. I hope you can hear me fine.
Good morning.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the invite, and thank you for the possibility to be part of this panel. As it was mentioned, my name is Ondrej Kovarik. I'm a former member of the European Parliament, elected in the Czech Republic. I was active mostly in the field of digital policies and digital regulation, among others AI Act, but also in the field of digital finance, including digital assets. And currently here I'm on behalf of a project that I'm participating in Czech Republic, a project called DEUSS, which is actually building a market infrastructure for tokenized bonds issuance for SMEs. And in terms of your first question, what's I think the one of the key priorities in the area of standardization? Well, I think from my point of view, I think it's well, the good governance and the cooperation between the industry and the standard setting institutions. I think that's key, specifically in areas where there are new standards that have to be developed. I think the key is actually the good cooperation, which means that there's ownership of standards and good acceptance across also across the sector. So I'm very much looking forward to the debate today.
Sure, thank you very much. It could be critical for standards market relevance, for sure. Okay, then let's start for the set of questions. I will move then Joseph to talk about the AI Act. Could you update us a bit about the AI standardization requests? In your view, which specific technical standards and conformity assessment approaches are currently most critical for demonstrating trustworthy AI in high-risk use cases?
Thank you very much for the question. As you know very well, the standardization request was prepared from 2024 from European Commission, and it was given to Sensenelec JTC 21, which is the responsible committee for the adoption and development of AI standards. So JTC 21 has 4 working groups dealing with operational, engineering, and ethical stuff of AI standards. As the standardization request was including standards that will cover the articles from 9 to 15 inside the AI Act, covering aspects like risk management, data quality, record keeping, human oversight, robustness, and accuracy. And those standards, if they are used by the manufacturers and by the users, they are leading to conformity assessment. So these standards are right now developed inside JTC 21. We have public inquiry. Most of them, they are finishing their public inquiry, and most of the standards they will finishing until May and June 2026. So every related entity which has to do with AI high-risk systems, they are advised from now to especially use standards like risk management, data quality, and all the collection of these standards. So they will be ready either for self-compliance or third-party compliance to comply eventually with the AI Act. And let's not forget that we have also an international state. We have ISO, IEC, JTC 1, and SC 42, which develops also international standards, which most of them will help you, let's say, to comply with the AI Act, but not for conformity assessment, but they are supported standards also in these categories, and each related entity is allowed to use them if they want to be complied with the AI Act.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we will discuss a lot today also on the coordination of standardization organization at the European and international level. Thank you, Joseph. Then let's move to Steffen. Steffen, in your case, with regard to eIDAS 2 and the rollout of European Digital Identity Wallet, which governance and technical standard which be essential in your view to achieve seamless cross-border digital identity while ensuring privacy by design and a strong user control?
Yeah, I guess from a legal point of view, I would say the standards reference in the implementing acts. You know, we have the eIDAS regulation, and in the eIDAS regulation, we have nearly in any article the requirement that the Commission defines implementing acts member states have to agree on, which reference to European standards. So the legal answer would be exactly the standards, but this is only one part. What we need is implementing acts which allow to use standards on the same level. So this means, especially in terms of interoperability, the formats we need for the attestation of attributes or for the PID. So the PID is the identity of the person, the attestation of attributes, for example, your driver license, that all the formats are handled on the same level. You know, we have three formats. One is MDoc, especially for the driver license. The other one is SDJVC, and we have WCC BCDM, which we need especially for subjects where we need semantic interoperability in terms of education, in terms of more industry use cases, data sharing use cases, etc. You could say, okay, UDI is for national entities, but what are we doing if natural entities act, or if we have smaller companies where maybe the upcoming EU business wallet won't be the solution at the end of the day. So for interoperability, we urgently need that those three formats are handled equally, which is currently not a fact in the latest draft of the implementing act. So this is, I guess, the first subject, and I guess it's also necessary that we keep technical requirements within the standardization organization, and that we do not put additional technical requirements in a legal implementing act, a bit overruling the standardization bodies. Yeah, for this we have the standardization request for the Commission. Use the standardization request, and we can do this. Yeah, so I guess these are the main subjects. Another one, I guess, is in terms of blockchain and decentralized identity management, to observe the ongoing standardization we do in CEN/JTC 19 on Ledger and as well on DIDS, decentralized identifiers, and to integrate them in an update of the implementing acts in future to exactly achieve the privacy by design, as UDI wallet currently depend on a centralized authority. We will always have a bit this dependency. I can't create my eID for my own. Yeah, at the end of the day, I need a member state. But in case using DID, we can bind a DID to a legal compliant identity, and it's still under my complete control. And this is exactly the goal of the eIDAS regulation. We should ensure to have an update of the implementing acts in future when those standards are published. So just to summarize, first of all, in the first step, ensure that all the formats we need for the attestation of attributes are handled equally, to ensure complete interoperability for all the three ones, MDoc, SDJVC, WCC, BCDM, executed as JSON-LD or JOT or SDJOT. This is first of all. Second of all, concentrate on European standards. Do not put technical requirements in an implementing act. Use the standardization request for this subject. That's why we have the regulation 1025/2012. And third part, when the standards for decentralized identity management are ready for the qualified ledger in next week, 25th of March. It will be published for the next year update, the implementing exactly the privacy by design.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefan. Very important point. I think that was Pierre who mentioned the need. Meantime, we are fostering trust and interoperability, avoid to kill innovation. So it's quite important what you mentioned. And then let's continue. We will discuss a bit later about this topic. So let's move now to Ondrej. We have now standardization experts. Let's focus on one coming from regulation. So from a regulatory perspective and also taking into account the practical realities of AI engineering, which standards of reference architecture are more critical at this stage to accelerate trustworthy deployment? And in addition, how can we ensure that this remain sufficiently, let's say, light to support agile development? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Well, I think in terms of prioritization of areas, and well, I would speak, let's say, very much with my personal view, but I think also reflecting the debates that we had in the European Parliament when the AI Act was negotiated and adopted. I think we should mainly focus on areas which are at this point critical, I think, also for the development and for, I would say, phase-in process of AI compliance with the businesses. Obviously, I mean, as the tasking is actually running, we already have a proposal for a quality management system standards on AI. That I think is actually one of areas which is obviously important. But I think if we look at the applications and I think the requests coming also from AI compliance, in my view, we should focus on areas such as risk management, the governance and quality of data sets. And I think this is also in junction with what Steffen was saying about the Data Act compliance. I think the entire area of transparency and human oversight, I think this is extremely important actually to build from the beginning this aspect of trustworthiness and credibility. I think this is something that I believe is very important, and I think as one of the priorities that should be also in this regard put in front of our work is the entire cybersecurity aspect, because obviously this is something that again, if we aim to run specifically in these high-risk areas, to run AI-based technology systems that are actually trustworthy in the European Union. And that's just, I think, one of the key messages that the AI is sending to the industry. I think this is also critical. So the cybersecurity, and your question about how to make sure that these standards are light and well accepted. Well, I think this is the typical $1 million question in the EU, right? I mean, we have to strike the right balance between setting clear regulatory requirements, but at the same time make sure that they are not too burdensome to the businesses. I think, I mean, let's see what we will get from the negotiation of the AI Act Omnibus. If this is actually done in a way that it was proposed by the Commission, we will have some more time, which I think is good at some point, specifically because we are setting standards in areas that are not fully covered right now. I think it's actually good to take time and actually make sure that things are done properly. But I think the main thing, and I will just come back to what I said at the beginning as one of the main messages, is actually to make sure that everything that is designed, everything that is worked on, for instance, under the European standardization organizations, is done actually in a close cooperation with the industry, with the stakeholders, that there is good dialogue on both sides, and there is a clear understanding. And I think this is also something that I find critical. Whatever a standard then is adopted and then transferred to market, that there is a clear understanding what it brings and what it means. And I think if this is actually assured, I don't say it's a silver bullet for success of these standards deployment in market and in the sector, but I think it's actually a good factor to make sure that there is a good acceptance across the industry.
Okay, thank you very much, Ondrej. Let's move then to concrete assessment and deeper analysis on those bottlenecks. We are looking for lightest standard, workable regulation. But then let's continue. I will ask Joseph, what do you think is the most significant compliance bottlenecks arising from also interdependencies between these acts, AI Act, Data Act, others, and how could standard bodies can help accelerate harmonized guidance to address these issues?
I think the biggest bottlenecks will not come from individual regulations, but from their interdependencies and how we connect them together. We are especially in topics like identity, data, and accountability, how they intersect together. Let's say that identity and trust frameworks are a key friction point in this topic. And under the Data Act, for example, you have access to data, which requires clear identification and authorization, while eIDAS 2 introduces trusted digital identities and credentials. And at the same time, the AI Act increasingly requires traceability and provenance of AI systems and data quality. So the challenge is how we consistently link these three different areas: data access rights, system accountability, and different frameworks together. AI provenance and auditability create many complexities. For example, in the AI Act, requires transparency, logging, and traceability. For example, the CRA, if we take the CRA Act, requires secure life cycles and vulnerability handling. And for the Data Act, it requires, for example, governance, data access and sharing of data among different entities and attributes. And without the harmonization of these three categories, probably we will have the risk of fragmenting and will have incompatibility. The role of standardization, I think, it has to accelerate and align common identity and trust models. For example, linking AI systems, data access, and eIDAS credentials. Also, it has to accelerate on harmonized loggings and provenance framework. So one audit trail can satisfy also the AI Act, CRA, or DORA, or any other regulation. And also, standardization has to promote interoperable conformity assessment methodologies. For example, shared testing metrics and evidence formats. And also common architectures. So the real risk in these bottlenecks is not by regulation, is not over-regulation, but uncoordinated implementation between those technologies and the different regulations we have. So if we have concrete standards and that will, let's say, compile all of these risks that are I just said, I think we will avoid, let's say, all the bottlenecks and all the problems we'll have with the interplay of these regulations.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue. Let's see if we will fit the time. And thank you very much. Very detailed reply. I would say high ambition reply. But let's move to Steffen. You mentioned before about interoperability. Let me ask you, where should interoperability be mandated? And where should we should left to the market choice in order to avoid fragmentation?
I think especially on the level of the PIT, so the eID within the UDI wallet, we need that the interoperability is mandated. So it must be possible that the people from Spain can go to Germany and use their UDI, and that do not need to ask, okay, what does it mean now? Yeah. So the same, I guess we can define for the EU business wallet owner ID, or in short terms LPIT, legal identity, if a company acts in Norway or in Italy, it must be possible that they can identify themselves. In terms of the formats for the attestations of attributes, I guess an MDoc should be always an MDoc, independently where we are. The same if I use an STJ3C, it should be it should be provable by any relying party if they follow the specification, and the same for the WCC VCDM. And the market choice is a bit, what do I need for which use case? If I do not need a semantic interoperability, maybe MDoc STJ3C is absolutely fine. But if I need semantic interoperability, so to work with formats like ELMO or MREX in the education sector, it should be possible to use the WCC VCDM, and then I need to follow exactly the requirements for this subject. I guess what we need to state here is that the international standards are great, but as the focus is worldwide, it opens the door. Yeah. So in order to fulfill the requirements we have in Europe, we may need a European profile. And this is why ETSI developed the ETSI TS 19472-1, which profiles those formats. So this means in terms of interoperability, basically follow this profile so that you are within the European Union or within EFTA in the subject. And if you use WCC VCDM, follow this part. If you do the MDoc, follow this part, and so on. Yeah, but the market choice should be a bit which of the format I need for my use case. And this is why I mentioned that all the three formats should be handled equally, also in the implementing act. So if you define further interoperability requirements, they should apply for all of those formats, adjusted according to the different requirements of the format and of the specification. Where we need a hard mandated interoperability is for the eID, identification of the natural entity, and for the legal entity to clearly identify the company.
Okay, thank you very much, Steffen. Then let's move to Ondrej. You mentioned before on some priorities. However, from the regulator's viewpoint, which practical outputs should standard body prioritize in the next 12 months, in your view? And then the most important, which organization should take the lead on this, each of them, thinking at the European level, but also at the international level, and fostering, let's say, European competitiveness. So I think it's a risky question, but it's maybe time to know more. Thank you.
No, thank you for that. It can be a risky question, but I think it's an important one. I know also to build on Steffen mentioned on the sort of connection between the European standardization work and the standardization activities happening in international level. I think, I mean, just maybe connecting to what you said in terms of practical outputs. I'm not exactly sure that we would have any practical outcome in 12 months, for instance, on this international level, because obviously it takes some time and it's sometimes it's more difficult. And I fully agree with the fact that we need a European profile on many issues, because we have a specific European regulatory framework that we need to address. So that is clear. But I think, and this is the call that I would make, not only for AI, but I think in general, for setting standards in digital policies where we have a new regulatory framework set. And I think this is also relevant for DLT-based technologies and etc. I think in case there is actually an active work strand on international level addressing some specific part of the sector activities, I think it's actually good that Europe is active and fully involved in and participating in those efforts, and just making sure that whatever happens on international level, and if it is in line with the regulatory framework that we have, that we can actually make sure that these things are as close as possible, if they cannot be identical. And I think this is critical because you mentioned also this perspective of competitiveness, etc. We know that a lot of digital services and digital assets and digital products on the market, by definition, they don't know borders. They are accessible, and their market very often is global. So I think the key to make sure that there is this adequacy or equivalence between the standards on the global level. I think this is a crucial matter for European organizations and institutions, and also for the industry. And I think just maybe one point, if we are able to actually be those players actively shaping and designing the rules also on international level, this is inevitably leading to the fact that we are enforcing and enhancing European relevance on the international level. So I think this is important. Just coming back to the question on who should be in the lead in this. Well, I think there is a tasking. So there are organizations that know at which point they have to be active. We have the standardization committee, the committee for electrotechnical standardization that have the tasking. The commission is there, but I think there should be one institution. If you speak specifically about AI Act, there has to be also one institution that is currently being set up, that is phasing out its activities, and it should be also active in this regard. And this is obviously the EU AI office. So I think for this specific sector, there has to be a clear activity from that institution as well, and obviously a good cooperation. And I think call for a harmonized approach between the European level and national competent authorities and also national standard authorities, that all these things are going together. But I mean, we know who is in lead. There is a clear tasking in the AI Act, but I think the key is actually to make sure that there's a good cooperation between all the stakeholders, because as I mentioned, it's a new field that we're entering in, and I think we have good opportunity now to get things right. But if we don't get it right at the beginning, then we can still deal with a lot of problems in the aftermath.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. Then let's looking forward to end this panel. Let me make a very, very short and concrete question to the panelists. Then, Joseph, what is one concrete standard to watch, one readiness action for industry and regulators, and one major risk that the standardization can help mitigate, in your view? You are mute.
Sorry. One highlight standard that the industry can use could be the quality management system for AI systems. That it is already finished by the public inquiry stage, or the ISO IC 42001, which those standards will bring you more in compliance with in a structured way for organizations that are ready to operationalize AI systems. I think the industry has to start implementing standards like risk management for logging and traceability of AI systems. That these standards, they need compliance by design and they take time. They don't have to wait for the final publications, because it will be too late after that to comply with the AI Act. And the standardization can mitigate risks, as you know very well. Standards, especially harmonized standards, they take the essential requirements of the regulations and they transform them into practical applications and practical guidance. Standards at the end, without the standards, we will avoid fragmentation, different testing approaches, different audit trails, different formats, and the compliance will not be evitable at the end and available at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Then, Stefan, the same question for you.
I guess we have two standards the industry should have a look on. One is the specification for the qualified ledger. This is the first time that we have a standard to prove security and trust within a ledger, and so ensure the compliance with standards like with regulations like the Data Act to fulfill supply chain requirements, to fulfill requirements from MiCA, etc. So from crypto payment to supply chain, we now have a standard to use blockchain in a trustworthy way. The same applies for the standard on dishonest identifiers, as we in this case have a secure combination of identity and transaction, and open the door for real privacy by design. And where standardization can mitigate risks, I come back to the interoperability subject, exactly to define also what Ondrej just referred to, an European high assurance interoperability profile, which focus on all the three formats we have for attestation of attributes and ensuring interoperability on a fundamental level, but also on the semantic level, depending on which format I use, and so mitigate the risk that a fragmentation of the eIDAS ecosystem, as we have many existing ecosystems already working with WCC, VCDM, and if they now get an implementing act and standard which does not work for them, we create a high migration effort, means we will have an adoption for the eIDAS in 2035, and I guess this is not in the interests of Europe.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefan. Then, Ondrej, the same question for you. Very concrete.
Thank you very much. And I think for the sake of time, I would only highlight things that Joseph said, because I think that they are important in terms of the standards to follow. Obviously, we have quality management that is already out. I think in terms of also the industry action, I would put a lot of emphasis on the fact that we would need a good standardization effort in terms of quality of data sets. I think this is critical, and this is also where we are currently legislating in the European Union, with some amendments to the GDPR, to the Data Act. I think this is the entire question of availability and format of data, I think is extremely important. And the major risk, I cannot agree more with Joseph what was saying. I think the major risk in the standards always can help mitigate the risk of fragmentation. And as we spoken in the previous round, the fragmentation can also occur on a European level, but can also occur on a global level. So I think these two dimensions should be addressed when we speak about mitigating and addressing risks through standardization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Very insightful panel. I hope we have concrete actions to summarize at the end of the day from this panel. I will only add, let's say that, cooperation between regulations and standardization to ensure trust. I will set compliance, but the most important, competitiveness. Thank you very much.